enough already. It's time for a refresh. Is your Google Drive feeling overwhelming and unorganized? Well, let's do a digital declutter and get everything neat and orderly. If we haven't met before, my name is Michele and I'm an online business manager. Besides kindly kicking digital CEOs out of the back office operations, I also help online entrepreneurs get clarity in life, business, and mindset. So today, let's jump into decluttering your Google Drive. So I'm just going to walk you through as I go through some of the things in my Google Drive that need to be cleaned up and organized, because it's one of those things that I like to do once a year is to just go through, because let's be real, when you're working in your business every single day or in your life every single day, it's hard to sometimes keep up with all of the storage and files that you're saving in your Google Drive or in any file storage system. It doesn't just have to be your Google Drive. Okay, so let's go through and look at some of the key things that we can go ahead and clean up and organize in our business and in our filing system. Okay, so I'm looking at mine right now, and I'm going to actually look and review my digital files. So, are the folders that I have in here still folders that I want to have in here? Do I need to rename anything? Like, are my folders still named appropriately for how I actually organize and store things? And the answer for that one, for me personally, is yes. So one of the things that's nice, and I would encourage you to do, so you can do your Google Drive in a couple different ways. So if you have a shared team account, then you can have all of your folders that your team shares inside that. But if you'd rather just to have one central location where you have your business files and then you have your team files, then you would just want to have two files on that main drive, and that would be your business files. So that would be your own personal business files, or you can have a personal folder and that's your own personal, and then you can have a team folder that you can share with your whole entire team. And then if you need to add anybody to your team, or if anybody moves on from your team, you can go ahead and simply just go into that one shared spot in your team folder and remove them from that one spot, instead of trying to remember all the other places in your Google Drive that you may have added them. So just something that's quick and easy. One spot, one stop shop. Okay, so I've gone through, I've looked through all my digital files. I know that I still like my naming conventions, and I have everything in there that I need. And I try not to be too crazy, but one of the things that I do have that's a repeat thing is actually archive. So you can do it in a couple different ways depending on how it's easiest for you. For me, I have an archive folder under every single one of my files. That way that I know that if I need to put it, I'm no longer using it, I put it in the archive. You can delete it, but Google has changed their policy. So after 30 days, that is going to be removed from your Google Drive. So if you ever think you potentially might need it in the future, just go ahead and throw it in the archive folder. I'm going to guess you have enough space if you're on a G Suite. If not, and you're crimped for it, then you may have to let some things go. But that would be just one of my suggestions, is to make sure that you have an archive folder on every single one of those folders. Okay, so now with your organization. So are your files still organized how you would want them organized? So one of the things that I try to remember to do, and it does shift. So if I'm looking for something, where's the first place I'm going to go look for it at? I mean, that's where I want to store it. And there's times where I need to move files around, because when I first started, that was the first place I looked. But now, as I've grown and I've expanded, that's not the first place I look. So I simply move those files around. So is there anything that you need to move around so that it's in a better location? So if you're looking through some of your files that you have in your Google Drive, is that the place that you would first go to look for them? I mean, granted, a lot of the times when we just go into our Google Drive and do a search for what we think part of the name is, and we do it that way. But If it's not in the right spot, just go ahead and move that right now into the place that you actually would look for it. So ask yourself the question, is this the first place I would look for it if I was searching for this file? Okay, good. So now we have that. And you've gone through and you've maybe started to think about the things that you need to declutter. So the files that you just need to get rid of. So a good way to do this is to sort it. So if going to look through this again really quick, so you can sort it in here by last modified by me, and last opened by me. And this might be a great way for you to know the files that you are actually using. So go into some of those root files that you have that have a lot of folders or a lot of files, and you want to just go through and see if there's anything in there that can be removed and deleted because you're no longer using it, or you're not accessing it, or it's really not pertinent to your business anymore. And then you'll know from there whether or not it can be eliminated or archived, depending on which you prefer to do. Okay, so we've reviewed all of our digital files, we've organized our files, and we've decluttered our files. So how's your naming convention? Is everything in your naming convention consistent? Or do you have random names for things? One of the things I do try and do is if it's something that's in finance, I like to name it finance and then what it is. Another thing you can do is if you prefer to have things based on date so that it's easier to clear out the old and know that you're in the most recent record, you can start with naming it the year. So 2021 finance, and then whatever it might be, or 2021 blog, whatever it might be. For me, like for example, for all of my blog posts, it starts with blog 2001, the actual week. So I don't necessarily go by the date, I go by the week. So, and I use the, on 52 weeks. So this one just happens to be like 14, maybe week 14 or 15, somewhere in there. And then the date, so the date that I'm actually publishing that blog post or that YouTube video, because they're essentially the same. My YouTube goes on my blog and my YouTube points to my blog. So both of those. So I have the date in which it's actually going to get published and live. And then I have like 2 short words or 2 descriptive words on what it's going to be. So this one is actually Declutter Google, or I think it's Declutter Drive. So there you go. So just coming up with a consistent naming convention and rules to follow when you're putting your things out there so that everything in your files are consistent and you know what they are, because nothing's worse than having to open 25 files and documents because you can't find the one you're looking for because you didn't name them right, because that really sucks. And this is just a little side note that I want to mention. Another great thing to do, so if you are using Chrome as your browser, how many Chrome extensions do you have? Yeah, I know, I have a ton of them, because you'll like try something out and it might not be the greatest, but you'll never like remove it from it. Just take a few minutes right now, and go ahead and clean out your Chrome extensions so that you only have the ones in there that you actually are using. So that's the things you want to keep in mind anytime you're doing a digital declutter. Am I actually using this? Where is the place that I would go to look for it? The first place that pops into your brain. Because more than likely that will be the same place the next time you think about it, that you'll go to look for something. So I hope that this was beneficial. I'm going to continue on a little refresh of our digital clutter this month. So for the next 4 posts, I have 4 different things that I'm going to talk about. So I appreciate you so much. If this video was good, please give it that thumbs up because I so appreciate it. And if you have any comments, go ahead and leave them in the bottom. And if you do like to listen to the ramblings that I have every single week, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you for your time and you enjoy your day.